Hey guys, back with me, Jeff Jones, and I'm here to talk today about YCS Vegas and my top 8 Malice deck profile. So to start things off, we'll talk about my team. So my team was Bowden, also part of the podcast, and Vlad, and many of you may know him as Hypnocorn. This makes the third 3v3 I have topped with Bowden now. And the second I've topped with Vlad. I topped with Vlad last year. And so pretty cool. I'm excited for that. Last year, Vlad and I only made top 16. This year we made top 8. With Bowden, we've made top 4 before. So I'd say pretty cool that we can kind of keep doing this. Something random that I was really happy about. One of the reasons I really wanted to top this event is because, besides it being really cool to top with your friends, it would mean that I now have collected all of the Another Verse playmats in the team variety. So now I have all 3 of them now, and I'm pretty happy about that. So going into this, I was like really worried about playing Malice. I was pretty vocal about that because with the release of Son of Tachyon, I was not really happy that you could just start Zelensky against this deck. But I hadn't really played anything else. I didn't really like anything else, so I decided to play it anyway. And it still worked out pretty well. So we, again, going into this, we did quite a bit of testing, and Vlad really wanted to play Blue Eyes, and I was pretty set on having Bowden play some sort of Ryzel deck. And I thought it would also be really cool if we would be able to win each playing a different deck. And we got pretty close. So maybe maybe next time, but going over kind of some of our matches, the coolest thing that I just want to reiterate is that Vlad playing Blue Eyes was able to go basically undefeated through the entire event. He did not really drop a match until top 8, where he lost in time. He played against all Ryzel decks and beat them all. And oddly enough, we're very sure that the Blue Eyes has a really good matchup against the pure Ryzel deck, which I never thought was possible, but it just, in our testing, Bowden kept struggling, and it just became more and more apparent, and even more apparent after this weekend, that for some reason it just has a good Blue Eyes matchup. Not so much of Malice, but luckily he did not play any, which also goes into something else to talk about. I might jump around a lot, but our team placements. Mostly, yeah, I would want to be in the middle to be able to help the others if needed. But when I looked at the previous 3v3, I wanted to take into account where people were sitting and looked mostly at what decks those people were playing. And there was like a common theme I noticed where if there was any Malice on the team, they would normally be in the middle. And I believe it was if there was more than one Malice, they were almost never player C. It was always player like A and B. So I wanted to make sure that in the middle, I wanted to be able to play against Malice more than I wanted to take the hit on having to play against Malice more than either of my teammates, especially Vlad playing Blue Eyes, because the matchup for with Blue Eyes and Malice is terrible. And I'm much more familiar with the mirror match, and luckily Bowden only had to play one, and Vlad. So again, I noticed that there was. Oh, now I have a cat on my desk. Okay, I noticed that there was almost never any Malice in the C or the. Now I'm going to mess this all up. I think I said earlier that Maliss was almost never seat C, but it's the opposite. It was Maliss was usually B and then A. So I made Vlad A, and he played no Malice through the entire event. He only played Rizel, which is exactly what I wanted, or exactly what I wanted for him. I played against, it was like 9 or 10 Rizel variants and 1 Malice, and Bowden played against 1 Malice, and I'm pretty sure it was basically all Rizel other than that. And so the preparing for looking at seeding ended up working out very well. Whether that was just luck or coincidence, who knows? But it worked out. So like I said, yeah, I played against like 9 or 10 Rizel variants and 1 Malice. My individual losses were against a Rizel deck where game 3 I got double Lancia'd back to back. And another one against Rizel where game 3 he got to go first and set like Solemn Strike and Book of Moon. I didn't see any of my side deck cards or Metal Tronus or anything like that. So I won all my other matches, thankfully. And it was, I even won all of the matches that I got Lancia outside of the double Lancia. So if I got went first and got Lancia, I won. And even when I went second, I got Lancia, I won. Which is very surprising. And my opponent was never able to search Lancia off 7th Tachyon either, because they always had to use that card to play. Either because their hand wasn't very strong, or I interrupted them with hand traps, or so that was like another very fortunate thing that went my way. Looking at my deck list, it is honestly very similar to the one I played in Orlando, and it's just basically some ratios that are different. And something I've noticed is that after Orlando, there were I'd say quite a few people who were skeptical about my list. And it kind of made me doubt, maybe I overlooked some things, or maybe I really didn't understand something, or, but now as time goes on, I'd say my Orlando list has been kind of the go-to version for the Malice lists that do pretty well. Or kind of, take that list and, change some little bits of things around. So that was kind of a little confidence booster that made me think, oh, maybe, okay, I still got it. I think I still know what I'm talking about. Even I think the team that got, I think it was 3rd place of all Malice, I think their list was maybe 1 or 2 cards difference from my Orlando deck. So that's cool. Good for them. So going into this, it's kind of the same theory of playing the really high impact hand traps that will make your opponent's board weaker going into your turn 1. And something I did start doing was I lessened on the Bestials because I thought there would be more pure Rizel, and the Bestials are just not very good against them. You basically just use them as extenders, which is why they're still here. But I didn't think they were as important. And then even if you don't play against the pure Rizel deck and play against Fiends or something like that, you still have Dimensional Shifter and stuff, which solos those decks. Then I, because of the pure deck being more popular, I wanted to play Infinite Impermanence. I really wanted to play 3, but I just could not fit room. As you can see, I already played 42 cards, which is something I don't really love. I really like 41 for personal reasons, not for any logical reasoning. I still use things like Terraforming. But before this event, I'd cut it because it's so bad into the Rizel deck. But there were times where, again, you really just need to see a name to win the game. And they're it also just makes sure that you have certain 2-card combinations that will basically always ensure you win the game. So Field Spell, Dormouse, Field Spell, White Rabbit. Like those 2-card combinations make it very hard to lose. And it also makes it easier to side deck, because when I side deck against the Rizal deck going second, I usually side out like Terraforming, Maliss and Underground, Chesty Cat, sometimes Allure of Darkness. A lot of times I keep in Allure going second and am more likely to side it out going first. This is because when going second, most of the time, if you get Lancia, you would assume you lose anyway. So I wanted to make sure that if I think I'm going to lose anyway if they have Lancia, I might as well still have Allure in my deck to try and see more of these side deck cards. And when going first, all I want to do is to be able to see a turn 2 if I get Lancia'd. So that's why I would be more likely to side out Allure of Darkness for more of like these cards if needed. But yeah, kind of, it's not a lot to say about this. This is all basically kind of the same, just a little bit different with ratios. Like, you know, not a third Allure, here's a third Chesty Cat, minus a Baldrake, some infinite impermanences. This is all kind of pretty standard at this point. Into the side deck. Before I was siding the Perulia, now it's Roland Lockbird. This is... I hate this card. I hate having to side this card. I hate how it conflicts with Dimensional Shifter, because Dimensional Shifter is so good even against the Rizal deck. Like, it can just force them into a detonator, which is what you want, and only a detonator, and it also cuts them off from like a lot of follow-up by banishing a lot of stuff. But, you know, like I said, being able to search for Lancia is kind of hell, so you need to keep them off of that. On top of the Mermail deck gaining popularity, that is the only deck I think most people do not want to play against. I mean, a lot of people say like, oh, I don't want to play against Maliss. Well, I think more people should be scared of the Mermail deck, honestly. Fortunately, like, I have a little bit more counters to that deck, but I still did not want to be able to have to play against that deck. Like, thank God I have Shifter if I did. But fortunately, we did not have to play against any. Again, we have Called by Feather Duster and Lightning Storm. Excellent against the Mirror Mash. Excellent against the Rizal deck. These cards single-handedly won me a lot of the Rizal matchups, even when I got Lancia'd. So this is basically how I would win the Rizal matchups when I got Lancia'd. They would, if I hand trap them, they would end on like a detonator, or even there was a game where my opponent went basically the full Rizal board. So it was like Duo Drive, Field Spell, Detonator, 2 back row, and then he Lancia'd me, and then I was able to like Feather Dust him and like Metal Tronus, and because the Feather Duster got rid of 2 back row and the Field Spell, it cut off. Once you get rid of the Field Spell, it's really hard for them to keep up in the grind game if they can't kill you on the next turn. So after like the Duster and the Metal Tronus, I was able to just live one more turn and then keep playing on my next turn, and it was basically only a matter of time until I won. Yeah, I think these cards are crazy. Again, a lot of people are also using Solemn Strike, and these cards are really punish those. And you'll see that I am no longer using Solemn Strike because a lot of people started using these again. I really did not want to have to use cards that got, Dusted or Lightning Stormed. And there was a point where I also had cards like Black Goat Laughs in my side deck because of that, because it also works pretty well against the Rizal deck. Is another thing you can set or draw and not lose to these kind of cards. You simply just, call Duo Drive, and then since they're forced into Detonator on your turn, Black Goat Laughs, you can just banish it and then call Detonator, and you get to turn off Detonator and basically Duo Drive with 1 card. So that's a card I think I might try again in the future, but I really just did not have room. We do have like the Triple Thrust and, Sanctum, Different Dimension Ground, which is good against the Fiendsmith and good against the Mermail deck if I played against it, and of course Dimensional Barrier. Not a fan of the other card that reduces all the levels, the Gnomes card, Mischief of the Gnomes, is that what it is? Simply because it can conflict with if I draw Shifter. I'd rather it just be this, because I do keep this card in going first against Pure Rizal. And even if I have this against the Fiendsmith deck, I can cut off either, Fusions or Xyz. I get to choose, and that's better than having to have Mischief of the Gnomes. I know against my top 8 opponent playing Fiendsmith Rizal, I drew different dimension ground, and then I think he lanced me, and then I thrusted for a dimensional barrier, and I just cut off his entire turn, and then was able to just kill him. Yeah. Extra deck, I think most of the things are the same. I guess we'll talk about, the Barbecue and Griffin again. So I summoned these cards one time the entire tournament, and oddly enough, it was against my teammate Ryan, or my teammate and friend and JRB podcast associate, Ryan Levine. We had to play against each other in, I think it was round 9 of Swiss, first round of day 1 or day 2, and I was able to use the Griffin and a Barbecue. But other than that, I summoned those exactly once, except for I Metaltronus this out on a DDD. That's it. Every other game was won with basically, Cryptor and trap cards and stuff like that. There is Dark for the mirror match. Again, I did not use Cerberus. I think that the trap cards back row is way more scary than the potential of a Chaos Hunter. I think Chaos Hunter is just such a terrible card. When I'm side decked, I already have these cards in my deck, and potentially Metaltronus too. And Metaltronus outs it, Thrust outs it. I just think it's not good. Anytime my opponent has Chaos Hunter to be, I'm pretty happy they have to ditch a card to play it, and then most of the time I just out it very easily. This also works really cool with when playing in a back row when you're have shifted your opponents. A lot of times you can use your 2 bodies and discard a name under shifter to pop a back row, and then you just get your name back after clearing a back row. These cards also SP and Phoenix are also really important when side decked because of the popularity of Solemn Strike. A lot of times you want to be, doing the 3 material stuff where you go Link Decoder and 2 bodies, and go into Ransom or White Binder, and then bring back the Link Decoder. But once you're side decked and they have back row, that's way scarier, and you don't really want to do that. So usually you want to use 2 bodies to use SP on a back row first to bait out anything like that, and then go into these afterwards. That's something I've seen a lot of people mess up with. Don't worry about getting this extra body. If you can just clear a back row and then go into one of these, you're probably pretty good. You don't have to worry about getting your Link Decoder back. Just make sure you don't get Solemn Striked. So yeah, I don't really think I have that much more to say. This is kind of I think YCS Houston is up next, and I am pretty sure there will be a Forbidden list. I sure hope so. I would be excited to play, some different cards maybe, or, change up my deck a little bit more. And I don't know. So shout out to my sponsor, JRB, and all of my friends who helped me test for this event, and my teammates who I would not have been able to make top 8 at this event without. So if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section, and I will try to answer them. Other than that, thank you very much, and I will see you next time.